I should have trusted my gut when she insisted on that prenup. Just in case, she laughed. I built 3 gyms from scratch. The night before our wedding, I heard her through the bedroom door talking to her bridesmaids about her ex and what she'd shaved for him. I didn't yell. I made 3 calls that destroyed her world. My name is Dylan Sawyer. I'm 44 years old, and I own 3 fitness centers across the metro area. Built them from nothing over 12 years, 2,000 members strong, good reputation, solid income. I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable. The kind of comfortable that makes you a target if you're not careful. Celeste Harlow was 40, a fitness instructor and marketing manager at my flagship location. Smart, driven, great with social media, the kind of woman who could walk into a room and own it. We'd been together 3 years, engaged for 8 months. The wedding was supposed to happen the next day. Small ceremony, close friends, nothing extravagant. The night before, I was downstairs in my house, setting up a surprise breakfast tray for her. Blueberry pancakes, the fancy maple syrup she loved, fresh coffee. I'd even picked up one of those ridiculous heart-shaped cookie cutters to make the butter pat special. Stupid, maybe, but that's what you do when you think you're marrying your best friend. That's when I heard it. I was 3 steps from the bedroom door, tray in hand, about to knock and ask if she wanted juice or just coffee. Her voice came through the gap, loud and wine-soaked, talking to her bridesmaids on speakerphone. I invited Jared to the Bachelorette thing tomorrow afternoon, Celeste said, laughing. Hope he actually shows up. I spent all day shaving everywhere for him. Silence. Then an explosion of laughter from her friends on the other end. Girl, you're terrible, one of them shrieked. Does Dylan know? Another asked. Of course not, Celeste said. Her tone was light, playful, like she was discussing what color napkins to use. He'll be busy with his gym buddies doing whatever boring thing Warren planned. I'll have my fun, he'll have his, and tomorrow we'll smile for the cameras. I stood there, tray still in my hands, butter melting on the warm pancakes. My brain tried to process what I just heard, but it kept hitting a wall. This was the woman I bought a ring for. The woman who cried when I proposed at sunset on the beach. The woman who said she wanted to build a life with me. And she just told her friend she shaved her body for another man the night before our wedding. I didn't kick the door open, didn't yell, didn't demand an explanation. I just stood there for another 10 seconds, listening to them laugh about nail polish colors and mimosa recipes, and then I walked back downstairs. The tray went on the kitchen counter. I stared at it for a moment, those stupid heart-shaped butter pats already losing their form, and then I picked up my phone. First call. My lawyer, Richard. We'd worked together on the franchise contracts, and the prenup Celeste had insisted on. Just in case, she'd said, laughing like it was a joke. Rich, it's Dylan. I need you to activate Clause 18 in the prenup. Yes, tonight. I'll explain later, but I need it done before morning. He asked one question. I gave him one answer. He said he'd handle it. Second call, my property manager. Hey, it's Dylan. I need the locks changed on my house tomorrow morning, early. Before 8. Yeah, I know it's Sunday. I'll pay double. Third call, the wedding venue. Left a voicemail. This is Dylan Sawyer. Cancel everything for tomorrow. Send the final invoice to my lawyer. Don't contact Celeste. By the time her laughter finally died upstairs, I'd already packed a bag, called Warren to crash at his place, and started transferring files off her shared cloud drive. The wedding planner's number went into the blocked list. Our joint bank account got frozen, pending legal review. Celeste thought I was the nice guy, the one who'd wait around while she played games, the guy who'd believe her tears and excuses when she got caught. She was wrong. I grabbed my keys, took one last look at the house I bought for us, and walked out the front door at 11:43 p.m. No note, no explanation, no second chances. Let her figure it out in the morning. Warren opened his door at midnight looking half asleep, but the moment he saw my face, he woke up fast. He stepped aside without a word and let me in. His apartment was a typical bachelor setup. Minimal furniture, massive TV, empty beer bottles on a coffee table from whatever game he'd been watching earlier. Want to talk about it? Warren asked, heading to the fridge. He pulled out 2 beers and handed me one. I told him everything. The whole story, start to finish. Celeste's voice through the door, Jared's name, the shaving comment, the laughter. Warren's jaw tightened as I talked, but he didn't interrupt. When I finished, he took a long drink and shook his head. Man, I should have said something months ago. I looked at him. Said what? Warren set his beer down and rubbed his face. About 6 months back, Celeste cornered me at your gym. You were in a meeting with that equipment supplier, remember? She came into the office where I was waiting and shut the door. My stomach dropped. Warren, what happened? She tried to kiss me, Warren said quietly. His voice was steady, but I could see the guilt in his eyes. Came right up to me, put her hand on my chest, said something about how you were always so focused on business, and maybe she needed someone who'd pay attention to her. I pushed her off immediately, told her that was never happening. I stared at him, trying to process it. Why didn't you tell me? Warren looked at me, and for the first time in 20 years of friendship, I saw him look genuinely torn. Because I didn't want to wreck what you had. She backed off right away, acted like it never happened. I thought maybe she was just drunk or stressed about the engagement. I figured if I told you, you'd call off the wedding, and if I was wrong about her intentions, I'd be the guy who destroyed your happiness over nothing. It wasn't nothing, I said. I know that now, Warren said. But back then, you were happy, Dylan. Happier than I'd seen you in years. After your divorce, after all the gym stress, you finally seemed settled. I didn't want to be the one who took that away based on one stupid moment. I sat back on the couch and stared at the ceiling. My ex-wife had left me 5 years ago, said I cared more about the business than her. Maybe she was right. I'd thrown everything into building those gyms, and when Celeste came along, she seemed to understand that drive. She worked in the industry, knew the hours, the pressure, or so I thought. She played me, I said. The whole time. Warren nodded. Yeah, she did. And I'm sorry I didn't say something sooner. I thought I was protecting you, but I should have trusted you to handle the truth. I appreciated his honesty, even if it came late. What would you have done? If you were me? Warren didn't hesitate. Exactly what you're doing now. Cut her off, protect your assets, and don't look back. Women like Celeste, they don't change. They just get better at hiding it. We sat in silence for a few minutes. Then Warren asked, "What's the plan for tomorrow?" She wakes up alone, I said. No explanation, no note. Just locks changed and a lawyer's number on the counter. Let her figure it out. Warren raised his beer. To dodging bullets. I clinked my bottle against his. To dodging bullets. Celeste woke up at 7:15 Saturday morning, exactly when she planned to. She stretched across the bed, reaching for me out of habit, and found nothing but cold sheets. She sat up slowly, mascara smudged under her eyes from not washing her face the night before. "Dylan," she called out, her voice still thick with sleep. "Baby, where's my breakfast?" Silence. She waited, listening for sounds from downstairs. The coffee maker gurgling, the clank of plates, my footsteps on the hardwood. Nothing. The house was tomb quiet. Celeste frowned and grabbed her phone off the nightstand. No messages from me. She tried calling. The number rang once, then went straight to a generic voicemail. "The subscriber you're trying to reach is not available." Her frown deepened. She swung her legs out of bed and padded to the bathroom, expecting to find a note on the mirror or some explanation. Nothing there either. When she came downstairs 10 minutes later, now wearing one of my old gym hoodies, she found the kitchen spotless. No breakfast prep, no dirty pans, no coffee brewing. But there was something on the counter. A single sheet of paper, crisp and official looking, next to a business card. Celeste picked up the paper and started reading. Her face went pale. Notice of wedding cancellation and asset separation. This is to inform you that the wedding scheduled for today has been canceled. All vendor contracts have been terminated. Your access to shared accounts has been revoked. Please contact the attorney listed below for further information. Do not attempt to contact Dylan Sawyer directly. Below there was Richard's business card and a handwritten note in my writing. Keys won't work. Your belongings will be packed and delivered to your parents' address within 72 hours. She read it twice, then a third time, like the words would change if she stared long enough. "What the hell?" she whispered. She tried the front door, locked from the inside, but when she turned the deadbolt and pulled, the door wouldn't budge. I'd had the locks changed while she slept, just like I'd planned. She was trapped inside until she called someone. Celeste grabbed her phone and dialed my number again. Straight to voicemail. She tried Warren. No answer. She tried her maid of honor, Shayna. "Shayna, something's wrong," Celeste said, her voice rising. "Dylan's gone. The wedding's canceled. I don't understand what's happening." Shayna's voice came through cautious, distant. "Celeste, what did you say last night?" "What? What are you talking about?" On the phone, Shayna pressed. About Jared. About shaving for him. Celeste's stomach dropped. Wait, did Dylan hear that? That was just a joke, Shayna. We were all drinking and being stupid. There was a long pause. If it was just a joke, why is your wedding canceled? Celeste felt the floor tilt under her. I need to talk to him. I need to explain. I don't think he wants to hear it, Shayna said quietly. Then she hung up. By 9 a.m., Celeste had called everyone. Her parents, her bridesmaids, even the wedding venue trying to understand what happened. Every call gave her the same answer. Dylan had canceled everything hours ago through his lawyer. No one had details. No one knew where he was. Her father showed up at the house around 10 with a spare key, but it didn't work. He tried the back door, the garage, nothing. Finally, he called a locksmith, who informed him that changing locks without the other tenant's consent could be illegal. I own this house. I told Richard to tell anyone who asked. Celeste was never on the deed. She has no legal claim. That was the first crack in her armor. She'd lived here 2 years, redecorated, hosted parties, treated it like hers. But legally, it was mine. Always had been. While her father argued with the locksmith, Celeste's phone buzzed. A group text from the bridal party. Someone had sent a screenshot from my gym's Instagram account. The post was simple, professional. Due to personal circumstances, owner Dylan Sawyer will be taking a brief leave. All classes and training sessions will continue as scheduled under our excellent staff. Thank you for your understanding. The comments below are already filling up. Hope everything's okay. Praying for you, Dylan. Let us know if you need anything. Then someone added, wasn't his wedding supposed to be today? And someone else replied, guess that's off. Celeste felt her face burn. She opened Instagram on her own phone and saw that my profile had gone private. I'd unfollowed her. Blocked her, actually. When she searched for my name, nothing came up. Her father finally got the front door open with the locksmith's help. They stepped inside, and Celeste rushed to the bedroom to grab her things. That's when she found the second note, this one on the dresser. Your engagement ring is in the box on the nightstand. Please return it to Richard's office by Monday. Failure to do so will result in legal action. She looked at the nightstand. The velvet box sat there, closed like a tiny coffin. She opened it and saw the ring inside, the 2-carat diamond I'd saved 6 months to buy. The sight of it sitting there, returned like a piece of unwanted merchandise, made something inside her finally break. She tried my number one more time. This time, the voicemail was different. My voice, calm and recorded. This is Dylan. If you're calling about the wedding, it's been canceled. If this is Celeste, don't call again. Anything you need to say can go through my attorney. Click. Her father stood in the doorway watching her. Celeste, what did you do? She opened her mouth to answer, but nothing came out. Monday morning hit Celeste like a freight train. She'd spent the weekend at her parents' house, fielding calls from confused relatives and angry bridesmaids. But nothing prepared her for what happened when she walked into Apex Fitness, my flagship gym, at 6 a.m. for her usual shift. The front desk girl, Monica, looked up when Celeste entered and her expression went carefully neutral. Not hostile, just blank, like she'd been coached on what not to say. Morning, Monica, Celeste said, trying to sound normal. Is Dylan in his office? Monica shook her head. Mr. Sawyer isn't in today. He's taking personal time. Right, okay, Celeste said. I'll just head back and get ready for the 6:30 spin class. Actually, Monica said, her voice quiet. You need to speak with Karen first. She's in the conference room. Karen was the HR director I'd hired 8 months ago. Professional, no nonsense, the kind of woman who didn't waste words. When Celeste walked into the conference room, Karen was already seated with a folder in front of her. Have a seat, Celeste, Karen said. Celeste sat, her stomach tightening. What's going on? Karen opened the folder and slid a document across the table. Effective immediately, your employment at Apex Fitness is terminated. You'll receive 2-week severance pay, and your final paycheck will be direct deposited by Friday. Celeste stared at the paper. You're firing me? The decision came from Mr. Sawyer, Karen said. Given the personal nature of the situation and the potential for workplace disruption, he felt it was best to part ways. He can't do this, Celeste said, her voice rising. I've worked here for 3 years. I built half the marketing campaigns that brought in our members. Karen's expression didn't change. You were an at-will employee, Celeste. Mr. Sawyer can terminate your employment for any legal reason or no reason at all. This is legal. Celeste felt her face flush. This is because of the wedding. This is a business decision, Karen corrected. Now, I'll need your key card, your locker key, and any company property you have at home. Security will escort you out. Security. Celeste's voice went up an octave. You're treating me like a criminal. We're following standard termination protocol, Karen said calmly. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be. Two security guards appeared in the doorway. Both of them knew Celeste, had joked with her hundreds of times. Now they stood there stone-faced, waiting. Celeste handed over her keys with shaking hands and walked out of the gym under escort. As she passed the main workout floor, she could feel eyes on her. Members she'd trained, staff she'd worked with, all watching her leave in disgrace. Outside in the parking lot, she sat in her car and tried to breathe. She'd just lost her fiancé, her home, and now her job, all in 72 hours. Her phone buzzed. A text from Shayna. Did you see Instagram? Celeste opened the app with dread. Someone had posted a video from the Bachelorette call. Not the whole thing, just 12 seconds. Her voice, slurred and smug. I invited Jared. Hope he shows. I spent all day shaving everywhere for him. The caption read, when your bachelorette party ends your engagement. It had 20,000 views. By Tuesday, the video had gone viral in local fitness circles. Celeste's phone was blowing up with messages, some supportive, most accusatory. But the worst part came when Jared finally called her back. Hey babe, Jared said, his voice smooth as ever. Saw the news. Crazy stuff. Celeste felt a flicker of hope. Jared, I need to see you. Everything's falling apart, and I just need someone who understands. There was a pause. Yeah, about that. I don't think we should hang out right now. Celeste's chest tightened. What? What? Come on, Celeste, Jared said, and she could hear the smirk in his voice. You really thought I was going to leave my girlfriend for you? I was just having fun. You were the one getting married to that gym guy with the money. You said you still loved me, Celeste whispered. Jared laughed. I said what you wanted to hear. Look, you're great and all, but you just blew up your whole life for what? Some texts and flirting? That's on you, not me. You told me to invite you to the bachelorette party, Celeste said, her voice breaking. And you actually did it, Jared said. I was kidding, Celeste. I never thought you'd be dumb enough to actually go through with it. And now you've got no wedding, no job, and that video's everywhere. I can't be associated with that mess. The line went dead. Celeste sat staring at her phone, the full weight of her choices crushing her. Jared had played her. He'd never intended to be with her. He just wanted to see if he could, and she'd fallen for it. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was an email from Richard, my lawyer. The subject line read, Final Asset Distribution. She opened it and felt her stomach drop. Inside was a detailed breakdown of everything we'd shared. The joint savings account we'd opened for the wedding. Closed. Funds returned to me as primary contributor. The car I'd been driving, registered in my name, repossessed by the dealership that morning. The gym membership she'd had as an employee benefit, terminated. But the final paragraph was what destroyed her. Please note that per the prenuptial agreement clause 14C, Ms. Harlow has forfeited all claims to future shared assets, including the mountain cabin property and investment accounts, due to demonstrated intent of infidelity. These assets will remain solely with Mr. Sawyer. This decision is final and legally binding. Celeste remembered that cabin. We talked about spending weekends there, maybe retiring there someday. His grandmother had left it to him, and he'd promised to put her name on the deed after the wedding. Now she'd never see it again. She scrolled down and found an attachment, a PDF of text messages between her and Jared going back 11 months. Messages she thought she'd deleted. Flirty texts, plans to meet up, complaints about me being boring and too focused on business. At the bottom of the email was one final line. Mr. Sawyer wishes you well in your future endeavors. Cold. Professional. Final. She'd lost everything, and the man she betrayed him for didn't even want her. 2 weeks after the wedding that never happened, Celeste received a certified letter that made her remaining problems look small. Her parents called me frantically from their kitchen table where the letter lay open between them. The letter was from Richard's firm, and it was brutal in its simplicity. Notice of legal action. Mr. Dylan Sawyer is pursuing civil action against Ms. Celeste Harlow for breach of prenuptial agreement, fraud, and misrepresentation. Total damages sought, $127,000. covering wedding expenses, business losses, and emotional distress. Court date is set for November 18th. Celeste's father, Robert, was a retired electrician who'd worked his whole life and never dealt with anything like this. $127,000, he said into the phone when he called me, his voice shaking. Dylan, please, we can't afford this. Can't we talk this out? I was at Warren's place when the call came. I let it go to voicemail. Warren watched me ignore it and nodded approvingly. Let the lawyers handle it, Warren said. That's what you pay them for. But Robert called Richard's office next, and Richard, being professional, explained the situation clearly. Mr. Sawyer paid $43,000 in non-refundable wedding deposits, lost an estimated $60,000 in business revenue due to the scandal affecting gym memberships, and the emotional distress claim accounts for the remainder. Your daughter signed a prenuptial agreement that specifically outlined financial consequences for infidelity or intent thereof. But she didn't actually cheat, Robert argued. She demonstrated clear intent, Richard replied. She invited her former partner to an event, made explicit statements about physical preparation for him, and had been in contact with him throughout the engagement. That satisfies the clause. Celeste hired a lawyer with money she didn't have, borrowing from her parents. Her attorney, a young guy named Mark who worked from a strip mall office, reviewed the prenup and delivered the bad news immediately. You signed this? Mark asked, flipping through the pages. Celeste, this document is ironclad. There's no ambiguity here. You triggered multiple clauses. Can we fight it? Celeste asked desperately. Mark shook his head. We can try, but honestly, you'll spend $20,000 in legal fees just to lose. The evidence is overwhelming. Text messages, witness statements from your bridesmaids, the video recording. A judge will side with him. So what do I do? Celeste asked, her voice small. Settle, Mark said. Negotiate the amount down if possible, set up a payment plan, and move on with your life. Celeste left his office feeling like she was drowning. She'd already moved back in with her parents, lost her job, become a social pariah in the fitness community. And now she owed me more money than she'd make in 2 years. That night, she saw my Instagram had a new post. A photo of me at the gym, working with a client, smiling. The caption was simple. Grateful for the people who show up, work hard, and stay loyal. That's what builds something real. The comments were full of support. You dodge a bullet. Keep your head up, Dylan. Real recognizes real. Not a single mention of her. I'd moved on like she'd never existed. And legally, I was making sure she'd pay for that existence for years to come. The settlement conference happened in Richard's office on a gray November morning. Celeste sat across from me for the first time since the night I'd left, and I didn't look at her once. I kept my eyes on Richard, on the paperwork, on the window, anywhere but her face. Mr. Sawyer has agreed to reduce the total amount to $85,000, Richard said, his tone businesslike. This represents actual financial losses only, removing the emotional distress claim. In exchange, Ms. Harlow will sign a non-disparagement agreement and make no further attempts to contact Mr. Sawyer or his businesses. Celeste's lawyer, Mark, looked at his client. It's the best we're going to get. Celeste's voice came out hoarse. Dylan, please, can we just talk for 5 minutes? Alone. I spoke without looking at her. No, I just want to explain. Celeste tried again. There's nothing to explain, I said, my voice flat. You made your choices. I'm making mine. Richard slid the settlement papers across the table. Ms. Harlow, you have 48 hours to accept these terms. If you refuse, we proceed to trial, and Mr. Sawyer will pursue the full amount plus legal fees. Celeste signed with shaking hands. The payment plan was set up, $1,500 per month for the next 5 years. It would cripple her financially, but it was better than the alternative. When she stood to leave, she tried one more time. Dylan, I'm sorry. For everything. I finally looked at her then. Not with anger, not with hurt. Just nothing. I know you are. It doesn't change anything. She left with Mark, and I sat there with Richard for another few minutes. You handled that well, Richard said. A lot of guys would have yelled, made a scene. I shook my head. Yelling would have given her something to hold on to. This way, there's nothing. Just paperwork and consequences. I walked out of that office building and drove straight to my gym. The flagship location was packed with the afternoon crowd, and when I walked in, several members called out greetings. Monica at the front desk smiled and handed me a stack of messages. "Welcome back, boss," she said. "We missed you." Life was returning to normal. Memberships had actually increased after the story went public. Apparently, people respected a man who stood his ground and didn't tolerate disrespect. I'd gotten emails from other gym owners, from business contacts, even from guys I'd never met saying they admired how I'd handled things. Warren met me in my office an hour later. "How'd it go?" "She signed," I said. "It's done." Warren nodded. "Good. Now you can really move forward. Actually, speaking of which, there's someone I want you to meet. My cousin Sarah just moved back to town. She's a physical therapist, works with athletes. I think you two would get along." I raised an eyebrow. "Warren, it's been 2 weeks." "I know," he said. "I'm not saying marry her. I'm saying have coffee. Remember what it's like to talk to someone who isn't trying to use you." I thought about it for a moment, then nodded. "Yeah, okay. Coffee." 3 months later, I'd see Celeste one more time, walking past the gym window. She'd look in and see me laughing with Sarah, my new girlfriend, both of us happy and relaxed. Celeste would keep walking, head down, and I wouldn't even notice she'd been there. That's how completely I'd moved on. 9 months after everything fell apart, I stood in the grand ballroom of the Riverside Hotel, surrounded by 300 people who'd paid to attend the annual fitness industry charity gala. The event raised money for youth sports programs in underprivileged neighborhoods, something I've been passionate about for years. This year was different, though. This year, I donated the $40,000 that would have gone to my wedding. The organizers made a big deal about it, gave me an award, asked me to say a few words. I kept it simple. A year ago, I was planning to spend this money on one day. Instead, it's going to help kids stay active, healthy, and off the streets for the next 5 years. That feels like a better investment. The applause was genuine, warm. Afterward, at least a dozen people came up to shake my hand, thank me, tell me their own stories of dodging bad relationships. Sarah was with me that night, wearing a simple blue dress that made her look radiant without trying. She worked as a physical therapist at a children's hospital, and when people asked how we met, she'd smile and say Warren had introduced us. No drama, no complicated history, just two people who clicked. "You did good tonight," Sarah said as we left the venue. "Not just the donation. The speech, too. It needed to be said," I replied. "Money should go where it matters." We drove past my flagship gym on the way home. Through the windows, I could see the evening crowd finishing their workouts, trainers helping clients, the community I'd built over 12 years still thriving. Memberships had actually increased by 15% since the scandal. Turned out people respected a man who stood his ground. "Do you ever think about her?" Sarah asked quietly. I glanced at her. We'd talked about Celeste exactly once, early on, and I've been honest. Sometimes, I admitted, but not the way you'd think. I don't wonder if I made the right choice. I wonder how I missed the signs for so long. Sarah nodded. "That's different than missing the person." "Exactly," I said. "I missed the version I thought she was. But that version never existed." Sarah reached over and squeezed my hand. No promises, no heavy conversations about the future, just steady presence, which after everything, was exactly what I needed. Later that week, Warren told me Celeste had moved out of state. Colorado, he'd heard, trying to start over where nobody knew her story. Her parents had helped her relocate, hoping distance would give her a fresh start. I didn't ask for details. Didn't care to know. She'd become a cautionary tale in the fitness community, the woman who threw away a good man for attention from someone who didn't want her. That was her legacy, not mine. Mine was 3 gyms, a thriving business, a charity donation that would help hundreds of kids, and a woman who showed up for me without games or conditions. I'd call that a win. 14 months after the wedding that never happened, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line was simple: "I'm sorry." I almost deleted it without reading. Almost. But curiosity got the better of me. "Dylan, I know you told me never to contact you, and I've respected that until now. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness or to try to explain again. I'm writing because I need to say something I should have said a long time ago. You deserve better. You deserved honesty, loyalty, and respect, and I gave you none of those things. I convinced myself I could have everything, the security you provided and the excitement Jared represented, without consequences. I was wrong, and I'm still paying for that. I moved to Denver 3 months ago, started over with a new job, new city, trying to rebuild. The payments I make to you every month remind me what I threw away. Not the money, but what the money represents. A good man who trusted me, who would have given me everything if I'd just been honest. I'm seeing a therapist now, trying to understand why I sabotage something real for something fake. She says I have patterns, that I chase validation from men who don't value me while pushing away men who do. She's probably right. I saw on Instagram that you're with someone new. She looks kind. I hope she treats you the way I should have. I hope you're happy, Dylan. You earned it. Celeste. I read it twice, then closed the email without responding. There was nothing to say. She'd figure out what she'd lost, but that didn't change anything. Sarah walked into my home office a few minutes later, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Everything okay? She asked, seeing my expression. Yeah, I said, closing the laptop. Just someone from the past trying to apologize. Did it matter? Sarah asked. I thought about it. Not really. Apologies don't undo damage. They just make the person apologizing feel better. Sarah set the coffee down and leaned against my desk. For what it's worth, I'm glad your wedding got canceled. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. I smiled. Yeah, I'm glad too. That afternoon, I went to the gym and worked with my afternoon training clients. One of them was a 17-year-old kid from the youth program my donation had funded. His name was David, and he was training for a football scholarship. Mr. Sawyer, David said between sets, my coach says you canceled your wedding to help fund our program. That's true. I adjusted the weight on his barbell. The money was going to be spent either way. This way, it actually helped people. David nodded, processing that. That's cool, man. My mom says you're a real one. I laughed. Tell your mom I appreciate that. Driving home that evening, I thought about where I'd been a year ago, standing outside a bedroom door, hearing the woman I loved mock me to her friends, feeling everything I'd built starting to shake. But it hadn't shaken. It had strengthened. My business was stronger, my friendships were deeper, and I'd found someone who valued me for who I was, not what I could provide. Celeste had gambled on excitement and lost everything. I'd walked away from chaos and gained peace. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just living well while the person who wronged you lives with their choices. I pulled into my driveway, where Sarah's car was already parked. Through the window, I could see her in the kitchen making dinner, moving comfortably through my space like she belonged there. Maybe she did. I grabbed my gym bag and headed inside, ready for whatever came next.